Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Soul-u-tions podcast. Today, we're going to take Mel Robbins' Let Them theory, and I'm going to give you a peek inside how I coach my clients in the Soul-u-tions labs and my one-on-one clients to help them actually apply this very, very popular theory and get great success with it. So, enjoy the introduction, and I'll see you on the other side.
Einstein said, "We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them." Most everyone in the world is solving their problems the wrong way. Our problems come from our thinking, and we can solve them with our thinking. So, whether you're at your lowest, just trying to grow, or whether you are trying to sustain growth over your lifetime, join us as we push the boundaries of our current thinking and redefine how we find Soul-u-tions.
The hope and the strength and the love and the smiles and the laughter of friends and family. Add it up, you'll find no limit to the possibilities.
I think if you listen to this podcast that you have heard of this wildly popular book and theory that Mel Robbins has come out with over the past year called the Let Them theory. In fact, I was just talking to Ethan, my podcast producer. He said, "Tara, what's the topic for today?" And I said, "The Let Them theory. Have you heard of it?" He goes, "Oh my goodness, it just popped up on LinkedIn for me." So I think that it is everywhere. I mean, she is really working herself to the bone to distribute and to make sure that she gets this idea, which is not a new idea, and she's the first to admit it, but she's the first to put this idea package it in this very specific way. So, but she really is it is definitely a vocation, a mission that she is on to make sure that as many people as she can reach, as are reachable in the world of the internet and podcasts and social media and old school book publication, are going to be able to read this and be touched by this idea and hopefully be freed by this idea and be able to improve their life with this idea. Now, there's one thing, and we talk about this so often in the Soul-u-tions Labs, which is my annual membership for women. It is one thing to intellectually know and understand a concept. It is a totally different thing to be able to take that concept and apply it in your life and to begin to actually get results from this concept. There's something about how our brains and how our body works where it's easy to say, oh yeah, I get that. I know that. I understand that. But intellectually, you think you do, right? But to translate that into action, into an everyday use in your life, that requires some other type of capacity or intelligence and a melding of it becoming like a part of yourself, like a part of the cellular system of who you are. And the let them theory is no different than anything else. I mean, truly, it's one thing to say, oh, yes, I know that French is not the same language as English. Okay. And I know that people in France speak French, and I even took a class or two in high school French. But it's an entirely different thing to be able to be conversational in French. to be able to travel to France and not just ask for water or to say bonjour or to say merci. It's to really be able to go beyond those types of just respectful conversations, trying to make an attempt at respecting someone's language and really enjoying an amazing meal and amazing wine and amazing conversation in that language. And so similarly, when we're talking about our relationships with the people in our lives that mean the most to us, it's one thing to intellectually hear this great concept that Mel Robbins does such a fantastic job of like making it so accessible, and then translating that to be able to be conversational and at ease in letting it roll off your tongue and in your body with such a way that you can remain grounded and not angry or defensive or, some of the other things that happen when we are just engaging in the messiness of our everyday relationships. So I was going to start. I'm recording this podcast on a Thursday, and since Monday, it's a work week for me. I have had 3 clients in 3 very specific situations in which I have coached them through using the let them theory. And of these 3 clients, 2 of them have read the book. And prior to actually Mel Robbins publishing this book, which just came out in March, I believe, the pre-launch started at around Christmas time. But 18 months before that, she actually came out with a podcast. And this is the first time she spoke about the let them theory. It happened to have been the most widely listened to podcast for 2023. It was like the number 1 episode of all of the podcasts, of the English-speaking podcasts. So I want you to just kind of bookmark this for yourself, and we'll put it in the show notes so that you can hear her original free podcast of the Let Them Theory. And it'll be kind of cool for you, especially if you've ordered the book or if you've heard one of her more recent podcasts. And I have to tell you, I really like the one that she does with Rich Roll. It's a recent podcast that came out on the Rich Roll podcast. We'll put that in there for you too, because again, like what I'm saying, this is something that just like learning a foreign language, first it's just vocabulary. First, it's just 2 words, let them. And in order to become conversational with it, you really need to expose yourself to listening to it, listening to these interviews, listening to the audiobook, reading the audiobook, so that you will begin to see the specific situations in which you can apply it. And that's what I'm doing for you today. So if you've got a friend who has this book, or if you're reading this book in your book club, I want you to just really right now hit the forward button on the share button on whatever platform you're listening to this. Just go. If you're if you're listening to this in your Apple Podcasts, there are these 3 little dots at the top of the podcast platform, and just hit those 3 little dots, and there's a share, and you just hit share, type in your buddy's friends, and you're going to come right back to this podcast and continue to play. If you're listening to it on Spotify, there's a little arrow, a share. Same thing with YouTube, a little arrow or share. Just do that for me right now. Take a second. while you do that, I'm going to put my glasses on and pick up a quote that one of my clients shared on her social media, which is a screenshot from the conclusion of the book, The Let Them Theory. And it comes from page 297. All right. You've shared. I've pulled this up. Let's go. You are responsible for your own happiness. You are responsible for the energy you bring and how you show up. You are responsible for defining what matters to you. You are responsible for telling the truth, even when it's really hard. You are responsible for paying for your life. You are responsible for waking up every day and doing the work to make progress on what matters. Nobody owes you anything, but you owe yourself everything. Oh my goodness. This is such I don't know, it's just such a great thing to make your screensaver, to print out, to share this with your friends as well. I'm going to put it on my Instagram, and you can find that at Soul-Shine Labs. But it's just something you could read every day in your morning. Like everybody's obsessed with their morning routines. But if you read this every day and you truly read it as an aspirational goal for yourself, and if you read it from the perspective that, you are a human who is alive today, you are a soul having a human experience, that you have been truly, we're recording this and it's Holy Thursday of Easter week. I really think about it like this is an incarnation, right? This is like spirit and soul made flesh. Like we all are this in life. And truly what a miracle that is. But it also is a big responsibility to think about if my purpose is that I've just come to this beautiful spinning planet and I get to live in a world that is filled with suffering and is filled with troubles and is filled with challenges. But I have been given something by this divine source or love that believes in me enough and has given me this gift that I can bring into this world and somehow use this gift in a way like to lean into the love, right? To dare to let my soul lead me, that I can somehow contribute to make this life like a little more enjoyable for myself and for the people I come in contact with, that maybe I can be part of reducing the amount of suffering in the world. And it may not come from creating some great invention or solving these huge problems like climate change or finding a cure to cancer. But maybe it comes in small ways of learning something like the let them theory and how to apply it in my life and in my relationships so that it allows me to be a more present incarnation of love for myself and for them. I know, it's like crazy to think about, right? But I really do think that this is what this theory kind of invites us to do. And it gives us something really tangible in these two words, let them. And let me show you. Just let me show you how I use it in my coaching with my clients that came up this week. Okay, so here's the first one. And I want you to imagine like when yourself in a similar situation. So I love her. She's a great client, and she's in college and has roommates and all the things. So you may be in college listening to this and you may have a roommate. You may be a parent of someone in college who has a roommate. You may be, like I am today, celebrating my 32nd wedding anniversary. And so I've had the same roommate for 32 years. And this phrase comes up, I know, in both of our minds all the time. But anyway, end of the school year, just a few more weeks. And she's just like, all of these little tiny minutia things over the years have just been building and building and building. Now, she's been trying really hard not to let it get the best of her. She's been trying really hard not to let all of these things like control and influence her moods and the relationship. And at the same time, she struggles with this idea of not wanting to let all of these little things, minutia that have built up, of not wanting to let them slide. Do you, I mean, you've had this feeling before, I think. I don't know a human who hasn't, right? Like you feel like, what I really want is an apology. I really want this person to look me in the eye and say, I am sorry. That was rude. I was thoughtless in that situation. And the truth of the matter is like you've been letting them slide and you're just tired of letting them slide. And so now you're just like, I just can't. I can't. They need to be held responsible. They need to be held accountable. I just don't want to let them slide. I get it. I get it. I've been there a million times. I was going to say, I've been there 100 times. I've been there 1,000 times. I was like, no, I've been there a lot more than that. I mean, like a million times at least. But I learned this a long time ago. And I would say, I remember the exact point in my life where I really was able to get this concept. I know the house I was in. I know what the light felt like coming through the kitchen window. I know it was a little over 10 years ago. I was somewhere in the 46 to 48-year-old age range when I really got this, because I really felt like someone owed me an apology about a specific thing. And I was so tired of just, I was just so tired of them getting away with this. And I felt like I needed to, that they were on the hook for this thing. And I got coached on it by a coach that I was working with at the time. And she said, Tara, the thing about this is if you, want to hold them accountable for it, you are assigning a job to yourself of being the person who has to hold them accountable. And when you really think about this, if you don't think that, you just don't want to let them slide on this, what you're doing, if you really are insisting upon an apology, is you're keeping this need alive in your life. The thing that pops up in my brain is an open tab on your computer, right? An open tab in your internet browser. an open tab on all your apps, in your phone. If you do that thing, you can see all those open tabs. That's what you actually have to do if you are going to be waiting for someone to apologize, if you want to hold them accountable for something and you don't want to let them slide. You actually have to put out the physical energy in your brain to keep a tab open. Don't let them slide. That tab is running 24/7 in the background of your brain, and that takes energy, and that takes attention, and that takes time. And that isn't a problem, except for that is energy, attention, and time that you could be giving to something else in your life that creates more love, that creates more joy, that moves beyond this specific situation. So in the coaching yesterday, I'm like, okay, how is it going for you? Like, do you really realize the trade-off that this requires? And do you want to hold this tab open? And let's be honest. What are you holding open? You're holding open a grudge. You're holding open a resentment. I'm not going to gross you out because I have this scar from my hand surgery. You are picking this scab and this wound and not letting it heal naturally. That's what you're doing. And so I'm like, okay, school is going to be done in 3 weeks. And for the next 3 weeks, now you're going to have to hold on to this grudge. You're going to have to hold on to this position of not letting them slide. Is that how you want to spend your energy, your attention, and your time over the next 3 weeks? Because no judgment here. Always a judgment-free zone. If that's how you want to spend your energy, attention, and time over the next 3 weeks, go for it. But I want you to be honest with yourself. Do you really want to give yourself this extra responsibility for your last 3 weeks? And I want you to really take a moment for yourself. Stop, look, and listen inside of you. I'm putting my hand over my heart. Really take a moment and take a breath. It's like that thing that you thought of about you not wanting to let it slide. How long do you want to hold on to it? Just what's the first number that comes to mind? Do you want to hold on to it for another hour, another night, another week, a month, a year? Just ask yourself, what is that part of you that feels like they don't want to let that thing slide? What does that part of you say? And just listen to it and say, okay, I hear you. You want to hold on to this for another month. Okay, go for it. Now let's think about over the next month, the energy, the attention, and the time that it's going to take that we're going to need to invest in this, in holding it open. And I want you to begin to feel the weight of that. An image that might be helpful, when you're same thing about letting someone slide, right? I don't want to let them slide. Okay. So if they were physically sliding down a hill, which has an incline and the help of gravity, right? They'd be sliding down this hill. What is the amount of force that you would have to use to hold them in that spot to prevent them from sliding? And then I want you to do the math. Is that how you want to spend your energy, your attention, and time, just exerting that amount of force? Again, you're working against gravity now, right? Just really think about this. The laws of gravity, the laws of nature, like you're working against gravity. And in our case, gravity is love. In our case, gravity is forgiveness, right? So just remember, like, oh, you've just appointed yourself as a position to kind of be opposed to the natural flow of love. Take a deep breath. And whatever you decide you want is just fine, right? So this is how we become conversational in it. We have to just apply it in these tiny little ways. Okay. That one was a roommate. It had somewhat of a high risk, low risk, not too much risk involved, right? Because that's a relationship of someone you may not be living with again. You're going to have a summer off. You're going to see them next year. You know, there's going to be time and space. And hey, you've only like really known this person for 9 months. So I think these are like great places to practice the let them theory. So I'm going to bring in another situation with someone you've been in a relationship for a longer time. This is one of your primary relationships in your life. And it is, say, your husband or your wife. And there's, been a lot of stress, which every marriages are stressful. I know we think it's all about the happily ever after, but they're just the everyday stresses that are in marriage. And they all take a toll on us, just like the everyday stress in this college roommate situation. And things like can be just going grand and great. You're getting through all of the challenges and the conflict. And let's just say you have, it could have been a fabulous week at the Masters golf tournament that you've just had together, or a wonderful vacation, or a beautiful, say, anniversary dinner that you've had. And everything has just been chef's kiss, wonderful. And then you get a little later in the evening, there might have been, a few celebratory toasts involved. So there might have been some alcohol involved. And the exhaustion of life, just starts to creep in, and there's this little vulnerability. And somebody says something, just a couple of words that hit a raw, vulnerable spot in the other person. It wasn't intended. It comes out of nowhere. And then the other person unleashes what feels like a dam that they've been holding back. And they say some things that are hurtful to you and sound like they're expressing their truth, right? They maybe express an opinion that they don't share with you every day. And it happens to be an opinion about your, darker side of you, the part that you really don't like anybody knowing that you have that part. We all have those parts, right? The parts of us when we're not at our best. And so this comment just comes out of nowhere on that. And then it hits you in a way that makes you feel unsturdy in your relationship, that makes you question, are we going to get through this? How can they really think that about me? And how do we move beyond this conversation? And the coaching on this one is, for me, I go deeper into my place of compassion. First of all, for the you that was just kind of unexpectedly hit out of the blue with this comment. And the you that feels so insecure now about the relationship, maybe the choices that you've made, who knows where your brain is going. It's spiraling downward, and it's going into some all or nothing thinking places. Thinking like, if they think that about me, how could they be married to me? I don't know if our marriage going to work? How do we do this? And so again, this is where we stop, look, and listen, and we place the hand over our heart again. Your first response is going to probably be to defend your position. It's normal, a normal human response, right? You feel attacked. When you feel attacked, you defend. Now, here's a very weird thing that I have learned from all of my research and studies. That person who you feel attacked you, they already felt attacked in some way that you didn't mean, right? And so this attack on their part, they see as a defense, not as an attack. And so when you defend yourself, then they perceive your defense as an attack. And then you can see how this escalates because it keeps going, because each person feels like they are defending themselves, right? You're defending your honor. You're defending your character. You're defending 5 years of letting things slide, like taking the trash out without putting a new trash bag in it. I mean, your brain is just going to go to the craziest places. And one of my favorite teachers, Byron Katie, has this saying. She goes, an act of defense is the first act of war. An act of defense is the first act of war. And A Course in Miracles says there is nothing to protect and nothing to defend. It's all an illusion. I know that's hard. You don't have to comprehend these things, right? These is just like if you were in France and you heard a few phrases you didn't quite understand yet. Just let these kind of things sit in you. They will stick to you. They are sticky. These are sticky thoughts, quotes, and concepts. And there's nothing to protect and there's nothing to defend. This is really at the heart of the let them theory, right? We can let other people, even the people we love the most, have the worst opinions about us in some moments, on some days, probably when everybody's tired and there might have been some alcohol involved or something else involved. And when we say there's nothing to protect or defend, it's like, oh, I can let them have their opinion about me. Because let's be honest, you have that opinion about them too. The people we love the most, we also have some of the strongest negative opinions about. Truly. I mean, we're around them the most. They get on our nerves the most because of all the time that we spend together. And you don't like them to know that you have that opinion. You probably keep it to yourself. You may vent to your friends about it. You might vent to your kids about it, which we, want to apologize for if we do, just because, you want your kids to think that's normal, but you don't want to parentify your kids. And that's a totally different podcast episode we'll do. But when you really are out of the moment, you can say, yeah, I do have some negative opinions about this person as well. I may have not shared them with them, but in my heart, I know that I do. And then if you can feel more connected in your human experience with one another. Like, we don't like to think that there's anything wrong with ourselves, but we do get on other people's nerves as well. And we do things that hurt them and when we don't mean to hurt them. And they do things that hurt us when they don't mean to hurt us. And if we can just say, my place of growth is to be able to let them have that opinion of me without needing to control their opinion of me, without needing to change their opinion of me. When we do that, and we stopped the defense of ourselves and position, and we stop protecting whatever that image is we want everybody to have of ourselves, then the fighting and stops, right? There's nothing for them to fight against. There's nothing for them to defend against on their side. And the energy will begin to settle. That is truly advanced work. But I also want you to think about this kind of like we just went through with the last easier scenario. I want you to imagine being able to master that in your relationship. And I am right now having either it's a squirrel moment of an ADHD, but it's also my lawyer disclaimer moment. If you are living in a relationship that is not safe, this is not for you. If you're living in a relationship where someone is abusive or someone is narcissistic, this is not what we're talking about. That's a totally different scenario. I'm talking about if you're living in a very safe relationship with someone and this is just coming up, right? This kind of conversation just happens. I want you, because you're the person listening to this podcast, I want you to dare to be the person that takes the lead in the relationship of learning how to let them before they learn how to let you. Because when you begin to do this, you're going to change the dynamic of your relationship. You're going to show up as the person who is not having to exert her energy, her attention, or her time to hold this person responsible and wait for that apology. You're going to be the person who can understand and forgive at a level that we are all invited to understand and forgive at. And you are also going to be freed from having to hold on to that, having to have this conversation of, how dare they think about me this way? How dare they say that? Don't they know all the things that I do for them? You're actually going to be able to say, hey, babe, I'm going to take a walk outside. Or you're going to be able to give them a kiss on their cheek and say, sounds like you need some time to work that out. I'm so sorry. This sounds really tough. And you're going to get to go do something and enjoy your life and let them work it out within themselves. Let them balance it out. Let them find their own footing and let them return to you as a person who's more grounded and more centered, right? Think about that all the time for the rest of your relationship, where when someone says something about, even when the words are about you, you are really going to know it's about them. And you can take a check on yourself and say, how do I want to receive this? Do I want to let them have that opinion about me and be freed from defending myself and continuing this on? Or do I want to have to defend myself, hold them accountable, like keep the force of this going until I can somehow try to control their opinion of me. Truly, truly weigh what is at issue here, at risk here, at, your happiness. I'm going to read that quote to you again because I just think it's the perfect time. You are responsible for your own happiness. So when you let that person that you love have that opinion about you, and you say, I'm just going to take a break. I'm going to give myself some time, space, give you space, right? What you're doing is you're taking responsibility for your own happiness in that moment. You don't need them. I mean, really, get this. You don't need them to change their opinion about you for you to feel good about yourself. You love that part of you already. You're like, I know I can say the wrong thing at times. I can maybe be a little too sarcastic. I can be unthoughtful, like all of those things like, yeah. And I can love that part of me as well. You are responsible for your own happiness. You are responsible for the energy you bring and how you show up. So, we're talking about that energy. Are you exerting that energy like to hold them accountable, to defend themselves? Are you fighting against gravity, love, right? Are you stepping aside and staying in the flow of things? You are responsible for defining what matters to you. Let your opinion about yourself matter more to you than their opinion about you. This is a toughie for all of us as we grow up, because as children, everybody else's opinion about you matters more than your own about you. As teenagers, right? Think about it. As teenagers, you're always looking outward. As young adults, but as you grow older, let your opinion about you matter more to you. You are responsible for defining what matters to you. And if loving that person in their dark moment, letting them have a bad opinion about you is another way for you defining what matters to you. This relationship matters to you. This person matters to you. You are responsible for telling the truth, even when it's really hard. Hey, this is hard to hear. I need to take some time. Right? That's letting them have their opinion, but it's also letting you take care of you. It's being honest with you. In the previous example, that roommate, hey, I need to tell you the truth. How that went down was hurtful to me. Instead of keeping it in and waiting for them to apologize, right? You can do it from a place that's really grounded and compassionate and honest. You are responsible for paying for your life. Are you paying for your life like by resisting this other force in life? You are responsible for waking up every day and doing the work to make progress on what matters. Being free to love, is that what matters to you more? Enjoying your relationship, is that what matters to you more? Because here's the truth. If you have a bad situation or, a hard conversation, one of these hurtful things with someone, then if you don't know how to let them, I want you to think of all the people you share that conversation with. I want you to think of all the days you hold on to that. Your brain is going to regurgitate it and replay it and replay it. And with every replay, you are stealing some other moment of happiness that you could be feeling for yourself or extending happiness to someone else. Nobody owes you anything. Truly, even the people we love the most, They don't owe us keeping us in high regard all the time. But you owe yourself everything. And so if you've read the Let Them theory or listened to it, you know that there are actually two parts to the theory. There's the let them theory, and then there's the let me part of the theory. So you let them have their moment, right? You let them, and then you let you take responsibility for your side of the road, not the keeping them from sliding or holding them on the hook or accountable, right? You can tell the truth. This hurts. Or if you continue to speak to me, when you speak to me like this, I will leave. That's a boundary. And that's you letting them and you letting you be responsible for you. All right. I know I said that there was a third one, and there is, and I'll wrap this up real quick. This is when you have to let the people you love not be happy in their lives and in the moments in their lives. I know we want all the people we love to be happy, especially our kids, especially our parents, especially our spouses or our girlfriends or boyfriends or our bosses, right? But when someone else isn't happy and you step in and you need them to be happy, I want you to understand you need them to be happy because you're uncomfortable with their unhappiness. And so you are trying to control them. You need to let them be unhappy and let you feel uncomfortable with that unhappiness until you can get back to our French lesson, until you become conversational and letting them be unhappy and knowing that it's just part of the bigger, richer fabric of your relationships. I hope these specific examples and the coaching that I've shared with you in these examples are helpful to you as you listen to, dive deeper into, and read the Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. I'm always available for any questions. If you have specific questions about how to apply this, make sure you're on my mailing list. Tara Simkins, TaraSimkins.com. Get on my mailing list. You will also get a free masterclass from me. But once you're on my mailing list, you're going to receive my emails, and all you have to do is reply to any of those emails. Even the ones that say, here's your free masterclass. Reply to one of those and say, hey, Tara, I heard your podcast on Mel Robbins' Let Them Theory. I am struggling with this specific situation, and we can start a conversation on that and help you live the life you were born to live. Help you find all the solutions to all the issues in your life in this beautiful, deep place within yourself that you have been gifted with, and let you shine your soul's light out into the world and help show others this new and different way of being in the world. So thank you. Thank you so much for being a listener of this podcast. I do not take it for granted that you are a very busy person, that you have a lot of responsibility, and that you could be choosing to do anything else with your time other than listening to this podcast. And I want you to know that that means the world to me. So don't forget, share this podcast with one friend, because that is so helpful to me, and it helps me grow my my listenership, and it helps me live my light or shine my light in the world by reaching more people. So thank you, and have a great day.
'Cause I ain't done living the life I'm meant to lead, and I ain't done loving the ones who cared for me. The hope and the strength and the love and the smiles and the laughter of friends and family. Add it up, you'll find no limit to the possibility.